I am Paolo Sironi, Global Research Leader for Banking and Financial Markets at IBM, Institute for Business Value. IBV has recently released the research material on new business normals emerging from post-pandemic changes, crossing a multiplicity of industries and consumer perspectives. I would like to share interesting highlights sourcing from some of our reports and focus on new consumer perspectives, key actions for business executives, and a way out of business decision-making impasse. IBV has been serving more than 54,000 respondents in the US during the Great Lockdown and extended the exercise in August to cover a global population representing more than 60% of the world reported cases and deaths. We all realized that much of the pandemic has turned into a shared experience involving a trilemma of concerns. People across the world are worried about their personal health and safety, economic future and job security, and individual privacy and liberty. To gain deeper insights into the trade-offs, preventing sickness, growing the economy, and protecting privacy, IBV gave respondents three pairwise comparisons and asked them to indicate which of the factors was relatively more important for leaders to consider. Looking at how people responded in the US, when asked to make a direct trade-off about the relative importance between low infection and death rates and a strong economy in the near term, more than 40% selected health, while respectively more than 20% selected economy or privacy and personal liberty. These choices have so far remained consistent. Ongoing concerns over the impact of the coronavirus also remain very real. When it comes to return to work strategies, our survey reveals a disconnect between employers and employees across most industries. Interestingly, 79% of employers say they are adequately supporting the physical and emotional health of the workforce, while only 44% of employees say the same. While employers received mixed reviews on their handling of the pandemic, one thing they could do that would appeal to most employees is offer continuing options to work from home. Prior to the lockdown, only 10% of individuals indicated they were working from home. By July 2020, that percentage had quadrupled to nearly 45%. Of those currently working remotely, 80% indicate they would like to continue to work away from their office at least occasionally, while 58% would like this to be their primary way of working. In fact, of those individuals who are now working remotely full-time, only 1 in 10 say they want to return to their workplace. Even though each day brings more uncertainty, there are definitive actions that can improve business resilience and strength. IBV has researched such a framework that outlines a path forward organized around 7 key imperatives that will be useful for any organization's executive team. Consider this guide as a checklist. The first imperative is for talent leaders and chief human resource officers, and it is about empower a remote workforce. Executives should consider a full revision of the strategy and policies that support remote and distributed work with specific guidance and rules in place. Communication is key. Be aware that what leaders think they are communicating isn't always being perceived the way they intend. Our research shows that 74% of executives say they are currently helping their employees learn to work in new ways, yet only a third of surveyed employees said the same, a 36-point gap. Clearly, feedback loops need to be built into all interactions. The second imperative is for chief marketing officers, and it is about engaging customers virtually. In this pandemic, service centers have been swamped with massive call volumes. Exponential demand can be met by exponential power of digital tools. Virtual engagement with clients and partners will remain a core part of doing business, even as we reestablish face-to-face interactions. The third imperative is for chief technology officers and chief information officers, and it is about remote access to everything. When shelter-in-place orders were issued, uncomfortable questions arose for many businesses. such as how to transition overnight from x60 models to a virtualized one. Fortunately, IBM, as a tech at its core business, was already configured to operate in this way, but for many organizations, it has been a "can we do this" situation. CTOs and CIOs need detailed business continuity plans that make the most of digital technologies to create operational resilience and flexibility. The fourth imperative is for chief operation officers, and it is about accelerating agility and efficiency. The solution lies in the immense benefits of cloud-native capabilities. Organizations embracing public and hybrid cloud are already using this crisis as an opportunity to emerge stronger, better, and more resilient. The fifth imperative is for chief information security officers, and it is about protecting against new cybersecurity risks. As more workloads and users move to cloud operations, accelerated by the current work-from-home requirements, cybersecurity resilience will evolve from a baseline performance requirements into a driver of competitive advantage. What began as extraordinary will become systemic. The sixth imperative is for chief financial officers and chief supply chain officers, and it is about reducing operational costs and enhance supply chain continuity. The ability to generate granular, real-time data about supply chain has gone from nice to have to necessity. Volatility has become hyperlocal, with excess inventory in one city and dire need in another. The seventh imperative is for chief medical officers and public sector leaders, and it is about supporting health providers and government services. It's become critical to expand the uses of human-centered technology interfaces to help those racing to find the right treatments, vaccines, and cures, as well as to help manage physical, mental, and economic health. Developing a sophisticated strategy that combines the strength of humans and machines will also be central in preparing for the effective reintegration of newly remote work teams across these areas and industries, and indeed, across the economy and society. So then, how should companies finance these actions now to expedite post-pandemic recovery? The pandemic has thrown organizations into crisis mode, with the respondents reporting all business capabilities growing in importance. Asked about the most pressing of those priorities, C-suite executives ranked workforce safety and security number one, closely followed by crisis management. But right after that came familiar concerns, cost management, and cash flow management. A central theme in the search for cost efficiency is the question of investment and ownership, or capital expenditure versus operating expenditure. A valuable business approach would be to invest the right way, CapEx with a technology twist. In the course of the crisis, executives have come to realize an aspect of ownership that has been underappreciated for a long time. It increases independence and buffers against outside shocks. Consequently, in the rehearsals of the OPEX shift paradigm, executives stated they plan to increase CapEx and decrease OPEX, with cloud and AI at the top of their priority list. To conclude, as the world faces a new normal, a fundamental shift seems to happen which corresponds to the principle of the honorable merchant. What is it? It's a historically rooted model of operating a business in Europe. The principal prizes prudent accounting and operating, taking responsibility toward the enterprise and all its stakeholders, including society and environment. IBV survey data shows that ideals of the honorable merchant are returning to executive thinking, an unexpected positive outcome of this crisis. Thanks for your attention, and thanks to all IBV colleagues who thoroughly worked on this and more research material during these exceptional times.